It being the appointed hour of 8 a.m., I will call to order the meeting of the Wednesday, November 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Public Service Committee of the Gardner City Council for Water. Record should reflect that all members are present. First order of business is abatements of water and sewer charges. First item in that category is 24 Craft Street.
Thank you so much. Sit anywhere?
We're here.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Good
Hi,
morning.
good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, how about yourself?
So we're here for the appeal regarding the water and sewer charges for 24 Craft Street in Gardner.
Yes.
Could you identify yourself?
My name is Michelle Cormier, property manager.
Okay. This is a multi-unit facility?
Yes, 48 units.
Okay.
There's 24 in the building that where the water bill's being appealed.
What would you like to tell us?
The owners are still just asking to have the bill adjusted. There was nothing that was found to prove why the bill went so high. You know, there's no explanation. We found nothing.
The water, the meter was checked?
Yes, the meter was checked.
Was there anything incorrect found in the meter check? The documents suggest that the meter was checked.
Yeah, they feel that maybe something was faulty, or there was a glitch, or they just don't understand how we couldn't find anything. We went through all the apartments and nothing was found. The plumbers did find flappers that should be replaced as a preventative measure. I do have a letter from them stating that they found nothing that should have increased the water bill so drastically. And again, we've never found anything to lead why the bill went so high.
Well, what was it about the flappers that they felt the need?
He just felt that they were old and aging and that they should be changed. Ronnie from the water department came in on February 14th and the water meeting was back to the normal average. We did not change the flappers until February 17th or February 18th, and we're already back down to the normal average, so that couldn't have been it.
Gentlemen?
On the work order request, it said that 1,476 cubic feet was used in 4 days. Too, so I think that's interesting that if it was illegal for a long period of time from a flapper, it seems like the high uses came in a period of just 4 days. Was there any event that went on at the units?
Nothing. We didn't know anything was going on until we got a letter from you guys saying that something, you know, your bill is very high. You said something about the water department recently received a meter reading for your property that indicates excessive water usage, but we never found anything.
Jane, do you have anything to add on this?
Just, so the plumber was able to gain access to all, you said
Yes.
there's 24 units?
24 units, he went in with my maintenance tech, he went into every unit, yes. Went into the boiler room, checked the whole property.
Any outside spigots or anything in the building?
No. And we did do a perimeter walk, so didn't Ronnie. Ronnie came over from, like I said, from the water department, he walked around as well, so
Yeah.
we found nothing.
Is there outside irrigation of any kind?
No.
Is this one where there was an issue about an indirect water heater?
Yes, but again, I have a letter from the plumber saying that it was not leaking. It's sort of like sweating or condensation around the bottom, but nothing.
And there were any recommended replacement?
Right, but we have not. We've not, and we're back down to normal water usage.
And the meter was not replaced? There was nothing found improper?
Nothing was working in working order.
Yeah.
And typically if a meter fails, you're gonna get a lower reading versus a jump or a spike. It goes the opposite.
So there was some unknown cause for the water?
Yes. Yes, I wish we would have found something.
Well, there was usage.
Right?
You don't know what
I
the
do not
source
know. No, I have no idea.
What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
years, just, it's not like it's summer usage or anything like that, not this apartment building. What were you looking for? Is there something you had in mind, or?
They would like to have their bill adjusted to the normal, you know, reflect their normal average usage.
If I may ask,
Go, please do.
is the plumber that looked at it also the maintenance person, or is
No.
there an outside contractor?
Or is it outside, Proto Plumbing?
The usage in question was the 82,200.
Yes.
Well, since we don't know, since there's nothing from, on the city's end that explains the excessive usage, I don't think, I wouldn't be in favor of abating the entire amount.
Okay.
But I would be in favor of abating half the usage of 82,200
Okay.
versus the usage of the next one up, which was 42,600.
Okay.
I'd be in favor of abating half of the difference
Okay.
between 82,200 and 42,600.
Okay.
And this bill's already been paid, as I understand it.
I believe she's doing, yes.
I did not pay the bill, so I don't know.
Well, there's a note in the materials that
It
suggests
has
it
been
was
paid.
paid.
Okay.
So is that something that the difference in usage can be calculated between
Yeah, we-
82,200 and 42,600?
Yeah.
And then we abate half of that?
Water and sewer, so just a monetary amount, that's what we're abating.
Right.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that approach, on the motion?
But I think it's fair, and there's been a lot of due diligence put on both the city and property owner's side. Seems unexplainable.
There's been nothing, no spikes since then?
No, I'm
So this
giving
goes
just
back
weekly
since
readings.
February.
Yeah, no spikes since then.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, so that'll be reflected in the, I'm not sure when the next spelling is, but it'll be an adjustment.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay, the next one is 141, 143 West Broadway. What's that? Oh, is that? Good morning.
Morning.
This is a meeting of the Public Service Committee on your appeal of the water charge associated with the property at 141 and 143 West Broadway. Is that, and if you could just identify yourself for the record?
David Williams?
Okay, and you're the owner, are you?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to tell us?
I did a pretty good job of explaining what I wanted to say in these letters. My first letter, I had some information, but I wasn't totally correct on the information until I found out that the daily use was still high. I had my plumber come in, he corrected me, I showed him the letter, so I updated my letter. We were able to find the additional leak that I was able to figure out I had based on the update from the water department, that my usage was still high. We were able to locate another leak underneath the ground outside the house.
Yeah, there
fixed that.
were two outdoor leaks and one basement leak?
Yeah, the basement leak was actually not a water leak, it was a sewer leak. That's what the plumber had fixed about my letter here that I was wrong on.
So the leaks going into the sewer system, or they're going into the ground?
The leak inside was the sewer system, so it was, wasn't like constant water running, it was whatever, whenever we took a shower, whenever we ran water from the second floor, it would be coming out the side of the sewer drain. that would hit the ground in the basement and go to the sump pump. I think we have a dry well for the sump pump, but it wasn't a lot. What was a lot was the water outside underneath our porch, which I didn't even know
But the service,
the line was there.
the service line?
It's
The
a,
line from the,
it's a irrigate to the irrigation.
oh, this was the irrigation.
Yep, but the irrigation was shut off, but the water going to the irrigation was on, and in between was
Is where the
leaking.
where the leak was.
Yeah, so I put a shut off, on the outside of the house. It's off permanently. That line has been fixed. We're probably not gonna use that anyways, cause there was a drought. But, yeah, the rest of this is pretty accurate. It looks
This
like
is 2 units?
it's one. My brother and I are there together, but, all the meters are 1 meter.
1 meter?
Yeah. We have 2 meters. We have an irrigation meter and an indoor meter, but we share the meter.
So what is it that you're asking us to do?
I was just asking for help. I saw that
Seems like there wasn't a problem with the meter.
there was no problem with the meter. It's just an old house, 130-year-old house.
Mhm.
We keep up with it. Anytime we find a problem, we try to fix it. I think this is our second of our 3 bills that were really high. Another one, I guess, will be coming out after this, because it was part of the time period of this appeal. And I didn't know what you guys, I'm not sure what you guys are capable of helping with it on this part. I'm not saying that the meter was wrong.
Anything that, Dane, anything that the department wants to offer?
Well, the leak was on his irrigation line, but he has a second meter, and he was already credited for his sewer usage. So he was billed as water, as he should have been, water usage, but he was already credited for the water that passed through the second meter. So any water that leaked out of his irrigation line, he was already getting a sewer.
You already received a credit for that usage? And so, I mean, the water that leaked out of the irrigation system didn't go into the sewer system, so they gave you a credit for that, I guess. And now, has the bill been paid?
Not yet.
So that's the $953.70 charge?
Yes.
Well, and the normal charges are around between $400 and $500?
Yes.
Well, it appears that, going back there was back a couple of years, there was one in fall of '21, appears that was $881.
That was the first of the 3 I was referring to, yeah. That's when I first moved in.
And then I went back in July of 2020, as well as that previous owner at that point.
Yeah. The previous owner had a lot. Actually, I pulled their record. It was a senior citizen lady that was on a trust, and I don't think they knew that they had any leaks, because a lot of their bills were very, very high. It was just one lady living there.
Well, I mean, there was usage, you've been given credit for the sewer charge associated with the leak. I'd give you some time to pay it, but I don't see a basis for, there wasn't a meter problem that the city was responsible for. Give you some time, maybe a year to take care of that bill, assuming that you're current with subsequent bills.
Yep.
And that was my concern, getting Director Arnold addressed the sewer issue. I think that's already been credited, so I give Mr. Williams a year to pay
The 4 billing periods.
4 billing periods, yeah, to pay the bill with holding off on the interest.
Any further discussion on the matter? Not all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. There you go.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Yeah, thank you. Next one is 900 West Street, City of Gardner. The average for the previous 4 billing periods was $74.34.
He's got a thing, he's gonna come with me. He's got a thing.
No sewer component to this.
Hey.
Hey, Rachel.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How is everyone?
Everyone as well.
Good.
Welcome to the Department of Public Works.
I like it. It's so modern in here.
This is the appeal of the City of Gardner to a water charge for a location at 900 West Street. And if you could just for the record identify yourself.
My name is Rachel Roberts. I'm the executive secretary to the mayor, and I'm responsible for paying the water, a good portion of the water bills for the city.
What would you like to tell us?
Well, customarily, one of the bills that I take care of is the cemetery at 900 West Street. And when I received the bill dated September 1st of 2022, I took a second look at the amount here and was a little surprised to see $1,300. So I contacted Jess St. John here at the DPW office, and we emailed back and forth, which I believe those emails are contained in the packet that you all have. And just questioned what was going on with that, if she could look into it, because it seemed inordinately high for a cemetery that people are just using to water plants. She looked into it, and she had, I believe it was Mike, and he confirmed that there was a leak, and they worked and located and repaired the issue. So the next question was, are we responsible for this amount? I felt in good conscience, using taxpayer money to pay these bills, and it just seemed like I should ask the question, you know, should we be getting an abatement like anyone else would ask?
Sure.
So here I am.
Yep. And as I understand it, Dave, maybe you can answer, has it been repaired?
It's been shut off.
Been shut off?
Yeah, we will fix it before next use in spring, but it will be
Okay.
repaired.
So it was shut off in close time proximity to when it was, the bill was identified?
Shortly.
The excessive bill?
Yep.
I did a calculation of the previous, because you also provided the previous 4 billings for that location.
Yes.
And the average, according to my arithmetic, or addition and division, was, the average was $74.34 per billing period. And the charge for that one billing period was $1,310.79.
Yes. Which is why it shocked me.
Got your attention.
It did.
I'd be receptive to abating all but $74.34 of the bill, which is the average of the 4 billing periods previous. I don't know if you get that one question.
I don't think I do.
My only question was the leak a result of potential vandalism or just old?
Just old lines under the cemetery.
Gotcha.
It was we just took the water department back 4 or 5 years. We never really had a leak in the cemetery, so we did some internal talking as far as with the water department. So I believe the water department should be responsible for maintaining the pipes under the ground. I mean, it's a city, that's
Sure.
just my own thought. Municipal grounds takes care of the spigots and the, faucets and whatnot, and the hoses for the users in its part, so I just thought the water department should be able to handle at least fixing this, and it's part of our responsibility.
Yeah, so that'd be part of the enterprise expense. If there was an expense, it'd be an enterprise expense rather than a city expense.
To do the repairs, yeah. Correct. But it just never happened, on our.
Oh, yeah. Deferred maintenance.
These are much used spigots in cemeteries too, so I'd be in favor of the motion.
Second?
So the motion is to abate all but $74.34 of this particular water bill. Is there further discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah, Jane, do I just talk to Jess about that? Do I get it?
We'll handle it.
Okay, I'll get a new bill.
Just want to check in.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming in. Next one is 29 Union Square. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for doing this. I'm representing Karen Kimmeliner.
Yeah, and
My
you are, and your name?
My
is
name
for
is
the record?
David Kimmeliner.
Okay,
I'm representing Karen Kimmeliner.
and,
It's about a water bill, which you guys have
okay,
emailed.
yeah, this is a meeting of the Public Service Committee to consider your appeal of a water bill that was higher than normal.
Yes.
What would you like to tell us?
Property was inspected by one of the plumbers in town, and they found no leaks, nothing unusual. And the bill was $800 instead of $70 for the term, 3-month term in September. That office has been, the office has just 3 bathrooms, 1 downstairs and 2 upstairs, and 1 on each side. No running water anywhere else. So, she's applying for forgiveness. It's up to you, I think.
I understand. Jane, what can you tell us?
Is it Liberty Realty?
Yes.
That's in the building.
Liberty tax.
We did some calculations. The only thing we could come up with is if you took a flow of a running toilet, let's say 3 to 4 gallons a minute for the billing period, it comes out almost exactly where their bill is calculated, so.
So there was a plummet, so there was, did the city do an inspection?
We did an inspection, we didn't find any leaks. I mean, we're not plumbers as well, but we didn't find any leaks as well in the building.
And the meter was checked, it was okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was something that happened,
Something happened.
yeah.
Have we been able to check usage recently? Has it gone back down? Is it staying the same?
I haven't heard, I don't know. It must have gone down because I haven't heard from Karen. So.
And how often is the tenant in there?
At least 3 days a week, right now.
Depends on the season, probably.
Right.
Like, looks like there was usage. And there's no outdoor spigots or,
There is, but it's right in the front, and it would be noticeable. You'd see the water running if you walk in and out of the building.
unless somebody turned it off after seeing it. I think this is in the category of ones that maybe we can provide a time frame for payment.
So moved over the course of the year?
Yeah. So what we consider doing is spreading out the payment for this particular bill over the next 4 billing periods,
Okay.
rather than all at one time. Since there was usage and it's gone back down, so it doesn't appear to be a continuing problem. So you make that in form of motion?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Motion is to allow payment of this particular billing period over the course of the next 4 billing periods, assuming the next 4 billing regular payments are made.
Well, someone must have gone away for the weekend, or 3 or 4 days.
Kept it off, yeah.
And forgot, walked out,
Yeah,
Yeah.
forgot to shut the.
the tenant isn't gonna say anything about
No,
it.
no.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
You want Karen now?
I'll let her know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next one is 38 Main Street.
Okay,
Good morning.
good morning.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I sit right here.
Right
At the
there.
table.
Good morning. This is a meeting of the Public Service Committee of the Gardner City Council to consider the appeal of a water charge to 38 Main Street in Gardner. And for the record, could you identify yourself?
Anne LeBlanc, owner of the property, and also John Sportruck.
Okay, very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
What would you like to tell us?
Well, I received a postcard stating, well, first of all, the postcard is addressed to Teresa LeBlanc, who was my mother. And I've been trying to get her name off of the, the paperwork or whatever, for 10 years now.
Was
So-
there a change in ownership
Yes,
by deed or?
yes, and I did bring a deed, I brought a death certificate, well, I don't know if I brought a deed, but I brought a death certificate. So anyway, that's beside the point, so I called, on the back of the postcard, it says 177 Summer Street, but the postcard came to Main Street with my mother's name on it. So I called and I said, it says excessive use for 177 Summer Street, which is where I live. And I called and I said it's 2,600 cubic feet, which didn't seem unreasonable because we have a sprinkler system, which we did shut off when we were supposed to because of the drought.
Of course.
But I said, I don't think it's excessive because of, what we have. We have a pool that we filled and all that stuff. So I said, she said, okay, if you don't think it's excessive, that's fine. I said, now while I have you on the phone, can I make one other request? Can you try to get Teresa LeBlanc's name off? She's been deceased for 12 years. She said, okay, so she looked into it and she said, well, there's another parcel that's associated with her name and your name that's excessive use, water use. And that's the property at 38 Main Street. So she said, right now your bill is $4,700 as opposed to $500 or $600 a quarter. So she said, she suggested we get a plumber up there immediately, which we did, and he found that we had one of the apartments, the toilet never filled up. The guy was a new tenant in May. He moved in May. Didn't want to bother us, that his toilet was constantly running. I said, well, please, next time, bother us. So it had been running all this, since May, June, July, August. But my question is, how did they notice the excessive use for Summer Street and not the Main Street property?
I mean, why didn't you get notice of this
Yeah.
sooner?
Yeah,
Do we have an answer to that, Dan?
Well, if you look at the usages,
yep,
they were all around 58, 54, 57. It was the last usage that went up to 76 that,
right, which was, the tenant moved in May, beginning of May, so I'm thinking that was like 1 month.
unfortunately, the billing period, you're billed between April and July.
Okay.
So when he moved in, we weren't reading the meters, so he basically was there for 2 months without us going out and read, because we only read once every 3 months. So unfortunately, he moved in in the beginning of the read period,
Okay.
so.
So there's no way, I guess that's my question, when it's excessive like this, there's no way, unless the meter is read, to know that,
Well, unless the tenant tells you.
yeah, he didn't want to bother us.
Yeah.
I mean, we are slowly replacing meters that are radio reads and they actually can tell us as we drive by.
We have one of those.
Yeah.
Because when we put the sprinkler, you remember when we moved the water from the back of the building to the front of the building?
I don't think you, I could double check, but I don't think you have the new type that we're currently putting out in like the last year and a half.
It's a white, oh, she told me what it says on the top. It's fancy, it's like that big,
Yeah.
white, you flip the cover up.
That's not the new?
I don't think
new
it's the
one
new ones
approved?
that we're doing, yeah.
Okay,
But we are slowly doing it, but there's only 600 out of 6,600 in the city.
okay.
currently.
See, I thought we had the newest, because I was looking for the one that I think I have at my house that is the real old,
Yeah,
the old
those
one.
we're trying to replace it, so that we can try to, you know, assist
Yeah.
the public, so that if they
Yeah.
have a leak, we can notify you a lot sooner than once every, at worst case, 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, you were 2.5.
Yeah, I know, and that's the other thing, you know, when it was a monthly, you know, you get the bill monthly, you know, that would have been caught a lot sooner. But I know they're quarterly now.
Well, so, I mean, the water, so you would charge for water and sewer for that accumulated during that period of time?
Yeah, the tune of like 41,000 cubic feet, as opposed to 5 or 6.
I suggest, and it's, the normal is around 500?
Our normal bill was between 5 and 6. The last one was $874, $874, because of, you know, the tenant moved in May.
So the difference is about $200?
It's about $200,
Okay.
yeah, but now it's not $200, it's, as of right now, well, last time I spoke to Jessica, it was $4,700.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, the bill, the next bill I get is gonna be around $5,000. So the 200, I didn't, you know, we had somebody else that moved in, well, he was already there, but the girlfriend moved in, and, you know, you have visitors and everything, so I'm thinking, all right, $200 isn't outrageous.
But now the heavy usage is in
The
the,
heavy
is for the
usage-
bill that you haven't received yet.
I haven't received, no, but it is basically, I think it's 41,485 as of the last read I did. That's how much usage we've used.
So what's,
If I did the
the
calculation.
next billing period ends,
She gets billed, you know, we should probably get a bill today. in the
Yeah,
mail, yeah.
which I'll probably fall off my chair again when I see it.
It shows-
What she
do we know
told
what,
me.
do we know what the amount of the bill is?
I can double check right now, but it's,
Yeah,
it's
but why don't
around,
we, if it's a fixed number, it'd be good if we had
yeah,
that.
it's slowly, if you look at, the third sheet, and her usage went up, and it averaged around between 55, I'd say. It slowly went up in July, so it probably started leaking, at the end of June, the toilet, and it bumped up to 7,600, so her bill did go up, and then, but it wasn't enough to probably trigger you, like you said, you had.
Right, yeah, yeah,
And
we
then
had
this-
people, you know, people come in and visit and
Yeah.
stay for 2 weeks and then,
It was higher, it wasn't abnormally higher.
yeah, no, it wasn't really out of whack.
You had
you
an
know.
empty, you said you had an empty,
We did have an empty, that was the
Apartment.
one that, yeah, Foxy was in and, yeah, we had some, it was empty for about a month, and then we had some guy move in.
So that's where Bobby lived?
Yeah, yep.
When did the toilet get fixed? When did you find it?
The day I think I received this on the 12th, and I think that's the day that I called Jessica. And she said, get somebody, so Alan went through before, you know, we couldn't get a plumber right at that moment. So Alan went up, and of course, the second apartment that he went into, he said, you have something leaking? He said, well, yeah, the toilet doesn't
So
really
you-
fill up all the way. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, so then we got a plumber, because we don't know how to fix toilets. So we found a retired plumber, Pete Roder came and built us out.
Getting
So,
tradespeople these days isn't easy.
they say it takes all kinds.
Well, what do you,
We
in
got-
the meantime, when we're looking for that number, what do you guys think?
You know, and I know we, like I put in the letter, I know we technically, the water
There was
did go,
usage.
there was usage, and I realized that, but I didn't know if, you know, I don't know how this water works, if, you know, sewer doesn't, if the partial credit on the sewer, or, you know, I didn't know, but I figured it was worth a shot to ask for some kind of forgiveness.
What do we have?
want to be on camera when you get this, or?
Yeah, that's what she told me. Yeah, 4,749 dollars.
How does this break down, Dane, water and sewer?
Well, the usage, the total usage is 41,300. And again, she's averaging around 5,500 cubic feet. As far as water and sewer, I can calculate it. It's,
But, I mean, the dollar amounts, I mean.
The first line, 100 is water,
200
it's
story.
2684.50. The second line, the charge code 200 is sewer.
thank you.
Yeah, the average, I think we were averaging daily about 53 cubic feet.
Well, I mean, we have to recognize that there was the usage, unfortunately.
There was usage,
you know.
I do realize that. As far as the
How
water,
about if we
but,
do something on the sewer part of it?
And this is a extremely high bill, yeah, I should try to do something, yeah. Well, it's, okay, well, it was used, it was addressed as soon as they found out it was.
Yeah, there was good faith effort to respond once you had notice of it.
yeah, and, you know, if it was not anywhere near this, I certainly wouldn't be here in front of you asking for, begging for forgiveness. And we do check it, we go down and read the meter like every other week now,
Not a bad idea.
because people don't like to bother us. Since when?
What's your pleasure?
I'd be in favor of reducing the sewer charge. I'm just trying to do the math in my head of what the sewer charge normally is.
So the highest bill is call it 900, and 40% of that is used in the sewer, roughly?
We could take an average of, 5,500
Yeah.
of the usage and use whatever that average is of, and just use that as the baseline
And you-
sewer and get the credit of it.
Yeah, credit of, you're thinking half of it, is that what you?
Yeah. I think that would be,
Credit on half of the difference between what was charged and what the average amount would be for sewer?
yes,
Is that?
so moved, yeah.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Understand the calculation and what we're,
Half of what it usually is?
the difference between what was charged, half of the difference between what was charged and what the average usage was.
If I could, so I think right now her bill is 51,300, and let's assume her average usage is 5,500. So we'll take 35,000, cut that in half.
Give
Take-
give an abatement of that amount.
Which would be what? Can't do that.
Can you calculate, can you send an adjusted bill to
Yeah, oh yeah, we'll definitely.
Yeah, so you get an adjusted bill.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
we'll send you out. a
Okay,
bill.
so roughly, just the,
You're getting a credit on 17,250, and this is rough numbers, cubic feet, divided by 748 times
Yeah, that's what I mean.
5, what's the sewer right now, 5? We'll get you a bill. We'll be ready.
you know, anything is
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much, and like
Happy
I
to help
said,
when we can.
we will never, I'll never be in front of you again because we're checking it,
Weekly?
well, every other. Put Alan in charge of that, put Alan,
Reminding to be
because I
bothered.
can't see it, because it's just, short. Anyway, I appreciate your time, thank you very much.
We appreciate you coming in, and I'm glad we had a bill to work from, you know, the timing was good.
Right,
A big bill.
yeah.
Smaller
Very
now.
good, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Angelo.
Yep.
I don't think 38th birthday is here.
20.
20,
20 bird.
Oh, sorry.
38, man.
asked to be put on the end of the list because she might be late, she had children.
Oh,
So.
okay,
there's
if
a
she's not
chance
here, then
she
we'll.
still may be,
Yeah, okay, why don't we continue with the rest of our business, and we can defer on this.
if she's not out there.
She's not here, yeah.
Yeah.
Some time has gone by.
She actually called Jessica, she's dropping her child off at the elementary school. So
Yeah,
she-
Chris was just telling us that she might be a little late.
Yeah.
So why don't we move on to the next item of business, which is review and approval of minutes for the prior meetings of August 25th, September 15th, and October 13th.
Move we waive reading the minutes and approve them as presented for the meetings of August 25th and September, August 25th, September 15th, October 13th, 2022.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to dispense with the reading of the minutes of August 25th, September 15th, October 13th, and accept them as presented. Is there discussion of the motion? Not all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes. Department updates. Public Works, Sewer, Water, Dane Arnold, DPW Director, that's you.
Thank you for having me. We're still down in the Robillard Douglas area, preparing that for paving. We almost have all our concrete ramps done. There's only a few left. Hopefully get that done by middle of next week, hopefully sooner. And then there's a section on Parker Street that goes from Robillard down to Rock. We're actually replacing that and putting in a handicap ramp as well down on Rock Street.
Replacing sidewalk, you mean?
Yes, that stretch of concrete walk was all deteriorated. It's probably a couple hundred feet of concrete walk down there as well. They're doing structures. There'll be a company in there on Thursday and Friday, possibly Monday, raising structures in that whole neighborhood, trying to prepare it for paving. We think we can at least start paving portions of that area that don't have sidewalks, so it would be in the shore Myrtle area that we can pave up. We're also preparing the sidewalks to be paved on Draper and Foss. They're just about ready to go. So we're hoping to get this wrapped up before snow flies. One of the big things the guys are trying to concentrate on is driveway ramps. There's over 200 ramps in that area that we're saw cutting and putting in a base coat and preparing as well. So hopefully snow doesn't fly soon, so we can get that done. We're also putting in berm and, lumen seed behind the berm, because we'd like that to be in place and hopefully freeze so that when the plows go out, we're not tearing up new sidewalk, new berms. So that's that area. We're trying to get that done. Kindling work, we're done. We just got a lumen seed behind some of the berms up there. There's a section on Traverse Street from the bridge out to West Broadway that is getting a small portion of new sidewalks and berm and paved as well. It was in pretty rough shape. And we're gonna try to squeeze that in before the winter's done. Crestwood Drive is done as well. So that's it for paving, if anybody has any questions on updates on that.
No other paving plans for
I
this
hope not.
season?
No. No, we're running out
Or
of time.
are there any plans that you did have that you weren't able to get to?
Other than the walk on Lawrence, which we've
Yeah,
talked about.
we've talked
so,
about, yeah.
No, we're in pretty good shape.
Oh, the concrete walk already? Yeah.
We did some televising.
Sorry, I have Tony Bertha here.
Okay.
Okay, why don't you finish up what?
I'll just finish my sentence. We did some televising in the sewer lines. We're under a contract for a company to come in, and there's about a 100-foot section on Dyer Street up near Stephanie in that area that's about 14 feet deep that we're gonna have to excavate, possibly under an emergency, to repair and replace it so that we can reline it. That's actually, there's a sewer line collapse that we're keeping an eye on, so that's something that we're gonna need to address pretty soon.
Do you expect this season to, before?
We're gonna keep an eye on, we're hoping to maybe put it off.
So it's the existing sewer line is collapsed during that?
Yeah, it's
that 14 foot?
offset, and it's causing some hang-ups and stuff like that, so. We're
Was
just
it backing up or?
No, we're flushing it, so it's not backing up, but it's something that we're definitely have on the immediate agenda.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Yeah.
Well, I have a couple things.
Okay, we can get back to it then. Why don't we suspend this, the director's update, and we can do 20 further. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, welcome. This is a meeting of the Public Service Committee of the Gardner City Council and the purpose of this at this time is to consider your appeal of a water and sewer charge that you felt was excessive.
Yes.
Okay, what was it, and could you identify yourself just for the record?
Yeah, my name is Stephanie Muniz.
Okay, Stephanie. And you're the owner of the property?
Yes, I am.
Okay. What would you like to tell us?
So I usually get my water bill, and it's usually about the same every quarter. And then this month came in, it was like 3 times the amount. I mean, I checked everything. And I noticed that the toilet upstairs was, not running all the time, but like here and there running. So I went and tried to switch out the flapper part, like the kit that says that. And I just, took it upon myself that it's an old toilet, so I replaced actually both toilets in my house. So 2 are brand new, they were installed about, 3 weeks ago. 2 or 3 weeks now, yeah.
And when were they replaced?
I would say about, when I called her, it was about a week, so I would say 2 weeks now.
Okay, do we have the new bill? So there's a new bill that's just coming out now,
Oh, there is.
so we just want to.
Make sure that it's going
So,
down.
but the last bill you got was,
She wouldn't be billed again until January.
oh.
Forgive me.
okay.
And
Would
the
you-
estimate is up in the corner here, the update. You're welcome.
21 cubic feet per day.
Yeah.
Yeah, let them know?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Find the wild goose?
We did, Jess sorted them out.
So the bill in question was for $476.33.
No, I think the one I got was like 700.
Oh, excuse me,
Yeah,
the $726 and the normal
it's usually around like
around $250?
Yeah, around there.
And the difference of $476.
Yes.
Gentlemen?
How long have you been at the residence?
Since May of 2019.
And you would replace both toilets?
Yeah, I have a upstairs half bath and then a full bath downstairs, and I just went ahead and replaced both.
Was it just one that had the?
Yeah, one was the one that was like running here and there. I mean, I barely noticed it. And then, when we opened it up and tried to change that kit, I was just like, oh, it's like really, doesn't look good. So I just, switched them out.
Inside of the tank, they look.
Yeah, it looked like rusty. I was like, it doesn't look very nice. I don't want to keep that in here. Oh.
So the difference is $476.33, so the difference between what was billed and the average of its usage, or $476.
I'd like to make a motion, because the property owner did do the repair promptly and propose forgiving or crediting half of that difference in the amount.
So that is
Half of 476.
476 divided by 2,
Yeah.
238.
238, thank you. Yeah.
So the motion presented and seconded is to reduce the bill by $238.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Would the bill still be higher than normal? Is that something you're gonna be able to pay right away, or do you need some time?
Yeah, I probably will do 2 payments. Like I'll probably do my normal one and then I'll do the other one after.
Okay, why don't we, to add on to that, I guess, allow for payment over two payment periods?
2 billing periods?
Over 2 billing periods.
Yeah, okay, add that to the motion. So the motion made is to reduce your bill by $238 to be paid in addition to your regular bill,
Okay.
or the current bill over 2 billing periods. Is there further discussion on the motion? Not all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, the motion passes. And so we get an updated bill with that.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Yeah, he's on the move now.
Very well behaved, Tom.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Have a
Thank you,
good
bye
night.
now.
You too.
Continuing with the DPW Director's report.
We have a pump station out in, it's out in the Sledge landfill area. It's actually at the transfer drop-off in solid waste. There's a force main, there's a pump station and a force main in that lot area. That takes leachate from the Sledge landfill, but it also takes flow from the solid waste from the landfill itself. There's 6 pump stations out in the closed, the capped landfill. Those pumps are no longer working well, and this is something from the Board of Health. They're in charge of that. But the reason I'm bringing it up is the sewer department was gonna replace the leachate pump station. We already have design for that. I'm gonna be coming in front of the council to take to request a loan to replace this pump station. That's probably gonna be a cost of like $850 grand. But because the flow from these failed pump stations within the solid waste, they're gonna be hiring the same company that we have for our pump station, and they're gonna couple replacing those pump stations as well. So we're gonna wait until the Board of Health is done with their design, and we're gonna bid out
Bid out together.
together.
Mhm.
I think we're gonna get a
And
better.
then you allocate the funds based upon will be allocated based upon what their cost is and what your cost is?
Correct, yeah, we'll share, obviously I'll pay for what's due for the sewer, and they'll pay what's for their pump station portion as well.
Mhm.
So that's something that's probably coming up. It's probably gonna take a couple months for Tater and Howard to do the design, and then.
Their design?
Yes.
We already have our,
Yeah,
or-
we have our design is done, and it's
Yeah.
actually ready to go out to bid over the winter, but we're just gonna postpone it for however long it takes to. So that's something we'll be presenting to you.
good enough.
Transmission main, the water line that runs from Crystal Lake up to the Reservoir Hill. We're just waiting to hear. We believe it's on the bond bill, the federal bond bill. We're just waiting to hear.
You guess there's an earmark for us in that bond bill of $1 million or something like that?
Something like that. And we're just waiting. So it might be February. I'm not sure of the timeline of the federal government, but when we find out, we'll get started on that. It's all ready to go.
So the design work is, I mean, the application for it is in, or?
Well, the application for the money on the bond bill is in. The only question that might come up is our design. When you design for a municipality to go out to bid, I don't know if the federal government is gonna tack on more requirements,
Yeah.
more specifications, probably. So that's something might just need to be.
So there's money directly from the federal government, not funded by the federal government and administered through the state?
I believe it's just through the federal government. It's not
Okay.
involved in the state at all, I believe.
Okay. I mean, there are grants and funds that are funded at the federal level, but they're administered through the state.
Yes, yeah, through the SRF, which we're working on that as well, on another project at the wastewater plant. Still hiring, we had talked about hiring. I still had a couple of interviews, still down a few guys, or the crew, in the highway, water and sewer department as far as, and also one of municipal grounds. But we're trying to
Actively.
pursue it. There's signs out, every once in a while we get an application, so it's something we are looking at. And the other fun one we have is Crystal Lake. We have taken down the old building up in Crystal Lake, and we're trying to play with there's a plot of property up there. So our GIS coordinator and Rob, they went out and they took some some GIS coordinates of it, and we actually were able to put it onto an AutoCAD, so we're coming up with some designs and get some ideas from columbariums.
It's a niche wall for cremated remains.
Okay, this is something you had mentioned, I think, on a
Yeah.
prior occasion.
Yeah, so we're plugging away at it, and just coming up with some.
I think it's a trend,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it's good to get ahead of it as much as we can.
Yep. So we're gonna come up with some ideas, and we're actually gonna go up and maybe paint it on the ground and see how it looks, and, well, talk to the cemetery commission as well.
Give us something to do.
Yes. And that's all I got on my financial requests.
So, okay, you've got that as a separate item. So why don't we go to survey and engineering? Now, unless there's any questions, excuse me, for the director.
No, this time, no.
Okay.
Shoot.
I've got easy stuff. So I think we talked about a fitness court up at the high school that the city procured funding for. Concrete pad had been poured for it. It's roughly 40 feet by 40 feet. The company who installs the actual fitness court has been in, and I don't know if they finished yesterday or they're scheduled, they should finish soon. It's interesting. It's worth taking a look at. So it's all static exercise stations. Kind of piggybacking on what, parks used to do years ago, where you'd get one station where you do chin-ups and sit-ups.
Kind of like they have along the Dunn's Pond
Yeah, but
trail.
a lot more modernized. There's QR codes that you can scan to download an app that explains how to do exercises with the equipment. So it's actually pretty interesting. It's worth having a look.
Where's it located?
Right by the tennis courts.
Okay. On the far side?
Just
Or near the diamond there, or?
on the other side of the tennis
Okay.
courts. So by the back driveway going
Yeah.
up to Barthel, Blanchard rather. So that's interesting. It's pretty cool looking actually, so that's kind of fun. Kind of sticking on the fun line, the city purchased an outdoor skating rink, which has been delivered. The plan is to put it in at Jackson Park on the basketball courts. I think while the weather's still good, we'll continue to let people play basketball, but once the cold weather really starts to set in, DPW will be out there installing that, and it's a good-sized skating rink. We're hoping the lights that we had out on the Pleasant Street Park when that was there, we can find a way to put those up and maybe have some nighttime skating occasionally. We'll probably have to run a generator on lights, but they're just LED lights, so it's no big deal. So that'll be going up soon. I think Dane's already taken requests for skating parties, so.
Ring time.
Yep. Then outside of that, we have this sludge landfill project, which is at the Conservation Commission right now. The Conservation Commission had contracted with Ty and Bond to peer review the project and how it relates to the Wetlands Protection Act and the wetlands out there, wetlands and vernal pools, plural, rather. That review had been done. We received Ty and Bond's comments. They're fairly minor, just mostly standard stuff that can easily be addressed. We're actually meeting with Sophie and Trevor tomorrow, and Ty and Bond and our engineer Woodard and Curran, to go over those comments, but nothing major, so nothing that can't be
The next
addressed.
step would be a action by the Conservation Commission?
Yeah, I think we'll sit down and go over the comments between both consultants. There'll be a final comment letter drafted up by Ty and Bond, which will then be incorporated into, if there's remaining comments, they'll be incorporated into the sludge landfill plans. Conservation Commission should then be able to move on the project, and then it goes into Massachusetts MEPA for review by them. An ENF will be filed, and beyond that, once that's received and MEPA has certified the project, Mass DEP will be able to complete their review and issue a permit.
So there's a number of steps along the way.
There's a number of steps, but I mean, we've been in contact over the duration of this project with Mass DEP. They're anticipating our the final Concom approval and MEPA review. They're actually, they want to know where it is, let's get this done. So they're hopefully their review shouldn't be too bad. Mass MEPA, they're the environmental unit. They will probably have the most to say and, the most comments. But that remains to be seen because we haven't met with them yet, or I don't believe we've submitted the ENF at this point. So it's a process, but we're getting through it step by step. So having those comments from Ty and Bond and getting Concom wrapped up, that will be a big step in getting moving it forward.
Very good.
That's all I have for you.
Questions, comments?
No questions?
Okay. Very good. Conservation Commission, Sophie.
He did a really good job summing up everything I was gonna say, and
Sorry,
more,
Sophie.
and more, so, the next commission meeting, Conservation Commission meeting is November 14th, so
Do we
we'll be,
expect to be in a position to have a vote on it at that time, or do you know?
I don't think a vote, but, I can let you know.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I mean, it has, the ducks have to be in order, but, it's been, not unnecessarily, but it's been delayed.
Mhm.
And
Postponed,
so obviously
yes.
we want to move it along in its normal course as best we can, so.
Yeah, the abutters aren't, helping that process, but
Well,
it's making it a
I
little
mean,
difficult.
they have a right to voice their view, but.
Right, so we have to hear everybody out.
Yeah, well, that's the way we do it.
Mhm.
Any question, anything else, any other projects or other things that you
Um,
can bring us up to date on?
well, I figured you might be interested that, in the culvert, replacement on Keys Road, but hasn't been anything really happening with that, other than the, notice
That was
of
delayed for
intent.
some reason, as I recall, wasn't it?
I think the MVP funding that economic development had applied for didn't come through.
They were gonna reapply.
Okay, yeah, and I don't know if they had.
Yeah, what were you, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Sophie.
Oh, just that the notice of intent was filed. That's
So
all I know as of
it's
now.
moving along at a pace.
A pace, yeah.
Anything else?
That is it.
Okay, questions, comments?
None at this time,
Me?
thank you. No, thank you.
Good enough, thank you, Sophie. So the next item is Finance Committee requests. So we are not the Finance Committee, but you would just want to,
Just to keep you updated, hopefully have a voice on the council to help it go along.
sure.
I don't know which one, do you have a,
First one we have is 80 grand for available city funds for vehicle fuel line. Vehicle fuel.
Yep. So, as everyone knows, the cost of fuel has increased substantially. We were level funded at 220 grand, which is what we've been funded for the last several years for vehicle fuel. What I'm trying to do is at least keep the city and the mayor aware that it's gonna cost us probably a lot more than 220 grand. So I took an average of July, August, and September. What we used, it's about 25 grand a month, and figured out that we're probably gonna need 300 grand instead of the 220. And that's just based on what the cost of fuel was, which it was actually lower. It was starting to creep down.
Yeah, the prices have come down somewhat.
Somewhat, but now they're starting to creep up again. So I just took a best guess and said, we're probably gonna need at least 80 grand to get us to the end of the year, to go instead of 220 up to 300. If I could read the market, obviously I wouldn't be here, but, so that was my request.
So we don't have a contract for gas.
We don't, no. The pumps are off. We're not purchasing them from any gas station. About 95% of the gas stations will sell to us. We don't, so we're not paying what's on the pump, what we see. We don't pay state and federal taxes, so there's that reduction. And then they also give us I think it's a 3 or 4%, more or less bulk rate. So we're not paying what you see the price on the pump, but you're still paying
Higher than we were.
higher than you were, but even under when we had our old tanks, we still paid market rate. We were just buying in bulk. You're buying 5 grand at a time at a certain rate. But when we needed it, and we paid the upcharge or whatever the market gave us. So, on another note, what I'm asked was, it cheaper to keep our pumps here or to purchase it outward? I think if you factored in what it costs to put the pumps in the ground and maintain them, we have to have inspections every year, there's reports to DEP, the insurance that is on top of that, it's probably still cheaper to purchase it like we're doing currently versus having them in-house. That's just what we're trying to track, just to give you an
How
idea.
long has it been since we had pumps in the ground, we were pumping them local?
2 years?
2 years?
Now, if I remember correctly, do we still have diesel here or not? No.
Neither pump.
Wasn't there obviously two different tanks, and I thought, I remember one was had to get shut down and not the other.
Yeah, they're both shut down.
They're both shut down.
And we're required to pull those pumps within 5 years, as soon as we take them offline. So by 2026, the city is mandated by the state to
Either to reestablish them or take them out?
take them out. Yeah, one of them we're definitely gonna have to take out, it's beyond its
Beyond its
useful life. So that was my request to the mayor of finance.
Any questions about,
Yes, did DPW use fuel at a pretty average consumption, or is it seasonality, like winter, do you guys use more fuel?
Obviously during storms,
Yeah.
when all our diesel and pickup trucks, which are on gas and whatnot, they're out, we do have a jump in it. It should be noted though, this is vehicle fuel for the entire city, it's for police, fire, city hall employees, not city employees, city hall vehicles as well, so.
that wasn't a slip by. And then there's allocations from each department's. I think the auditor, depending on the usage by each department,
They only do that for the airport and school. This is the budget for all of those.
Everybody else?
Everyone. If the school uses it, we get we bill them, the city bills them separately, and the airport as well.
yeah, okay. Anything else on this one? Continuing, the next one we have is energy and utilities.
Same thing, anything to do with energy and utilities, they're looking at a 60% forecast. This $5,000 is not a 60% increase, but it is at least a best guess on what we might need for energy and utilities at the DPW. Again, for the same reason, like National Grid, I believe, starting yesterday, is bumping their charges up about 60, they're.
Yeah, as of yesterday,
Yeah, the kilowatt charge for National Grid went from 11 up to
Yes.
24 to 33 cents.
Yeah, so National Grid's tier, the basic rate is 34 cents kilowatt hour. I think it went, it was like 12, I think.
Like 11 and a half,
Coming
12
up to
cents.
that. The city rate that the city
yeah,
aggregation
aggregation, we were.
was 10 cents kilowatt hour. That also went up, that's
21, is it?
24.
24.
Yeah, yeah, it's 23 and change, rounded up to 24. So the city aggregation is still a much better deal for residents than National Grid. Keeping in mind that that's a 12-month rate, where National Grid does 6-month rates, so it's assumed in the spring, when the spring rate comes out, it'll go down. God only knows how much, if any, at that time. So I see the city aggregation rate as a bargain compared to National Grid.
Some people disagree.
Well, if they were paying the National Grid rate, they'd agree.
Well, when they get the next bill, maybe they'll understand.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, and that was, yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Anyway, that's $5,000.
Yes.
Any questions about that, comments?
No question.
Continuing,
Next request I have is
personnel matter.
to add additional duties to our GIS coordinator. To give you a little background, when we first came up here, I had an assistant director who left and came back in a different role. And we changed some job duties.
Keep crawling back there.
Yeah. And we created the senior civil engineer position with a salary of $75,000. He was again, my assistant, I cut that position in July of on the beginning of this fiscal year, with my intention to just give the GIS coordinator some more duties, and bump his salary up to accommodate the additional job duties. So as a whole, when you look down here, we've reduced the salaries by 55 grand by cutting, if this proposal went through, by cutting the senior civil engineer and adding the additional duties to the GIS and giving a compensation of $28,000 on top of his salary. There's a net loss or net reduction in salaries of 55 grand. So that was kind of what we were trying to do, is put some duties that the assistant used to do and put it onto the GIS coordinator. Some of those duties in the packet.
Right.
His current, if you look at the packet, his current job description is just written in normal text. The highlighted text is the additional duties that we're gonna do, and it's more or less just assisting me with the water and sewer mapping, submitting mapping to DEP. When the company was in here televising the water and sewer, he was literally out with my sewer crew locating manholes and determining flow, and then he can upgrade his plans to keep the state up to date. He also keeps our consultants up to date, and it's a giant reduction in where I don't have to pay as much to my consultants, because our maps are up to date with hydraulic flows that they can just take and work with it. So it's just a much easier streamline. The other thing we're gonna do is, as we had talked earlier about changing on our meters, he would be in charge of running that program. It's a software program. It's also it's on a tablet, and he would be out in charge of reading the meters and reporting back to Jessica and figuring out some of the issues that come up on the water and sewer department. So that's kind of the draft.
I assume you've explored this with the mayor.
Correct. Yep. He's aware and told me to submit it to the council. Then with the salary study, that's.
I was gonna say, we've got a salary study coming up on this.
Well, that's what I thought, the timing would be perfect, that the job and its duties would be in place, so that when he was being reviewed, the position would be there, instead of proposed position as well. So I thought the timing would kind of work as well.
These additional duties that you have highlighted here, are they being performed by somebody else now?
They're being performed by me.
So you'll have less to do?
Yeah, I'll just be sitting around. Waiting for the phone to ring.
Or a text pop up? Well, I think we need to see what the mayor has to say about it in the finance committee. Because there'd be and the existing GIS director is receptive to this?
Yes. He's currently being paid for out of the city side. This would not be on the city's funds. It would be split between 10 grand water, 10 grand sewer. It wouldn't affect the city's budget at all.
At current time, he's doing most of these anyway because we ask him to, and he's good about it. He's a really intelligent guy. He's actually capable of pretty much doing any of the jobs up here. So he's a great resource. He knows his job very well, and he's open to the extra responsibilities, of which some of them he's doing now.
Questions, comments on this?
No.
I don't think there's something for a vote at this time. I think we'd be receptive.
Yeah,
Being this finance committee's, the money part of the finance committee, I think the mayor wants to propose the change in the position and the job duty. That I think would come from him. Anything else?
No, that's all I got for financial requests.
Okay. Council requests. Councilor Journal
Just a couple things. I sent a message, and they know we're limited on what we can do with road repairs, but about Partridge Street, and maybe someone check on that. Did that get looked into at all?
it can be patched, but it's beyond.
Yeah, that's what, I didn't know if it was addressed or will be addressed or can it be patched.
I can highlight it and I'll present it to the mayor in the spring.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I think the supplemental budget, I think he's giving money for paving. Maybe allocate for that street and Eaton Street and a couple other streets as well.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious of where we were on that, and then, there's a, understanding the labor, issues with getting to these things, recently. There's a house on Whitney Street, 43 Whitney Street, that had some trees that were, told that they were gonna be taken down by the city. They were city trees.
Okay.
That was back in the spring. I think there's been issues with the bucket truck, if my understanding is right, didn't being able to do some
Yeah,
of these
the
things.
truck was out, the bucket truck was
Yeah,
out, and we also typically we do tree removal, we concentrate it a lot unless it's an emergency, in the winter, because we're doing parks, playgrounds, leaves, and
Mhm.
mowing and whatnot, so I'll talk to the.
Just, you could just give the gentleman an update at 43 Woody Street of what the plan is, what he's looking for, more than anything.
That's not on Paper Street, you're talking about?
No, it's not that one. This is
That was
another,
Edgar.
this is over on the other side of 68,
Okay.
kind of at the end of Mill, I guess, or I don't know, I forget how it all ties together, but where it connects into Whitney Street right
Okay.
there.
Yeah, we can take a look.
So, and that is it.
Okay,
I have nothing.
anything else? I have nothing to add at this time, unless is there any new business?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Well,